Hey guys, it's Ian. Hope you're doing well. Just decided to make this video to kind of outline a little series that I wanted to start on the channel. I'm going to try to run a couple of series concurrently, all at the same time. So with that being said, it's going to be kind of a two-part video. It won't be like this every time, but I figured I could go a little more in depth on my ideas for the channel and kind of my artistic journey. I breezed over it in the first little intro video that I made. But I thought I could go a little more in depth and kind of explain, my process on how I got to a point of just having a metric ton of artwork over the years. So with that being said, I'll get into part one. So myself, I've been collecting my artwork since I was about 8 and 9 years old, third and fourth grade. But before that, my mom actually kept a lot of my work. We drew in our household every day, basically, growing up. From the time I was about 18 and 19 months old, I was already drawing, scribbling, little baby hands, had enough dexterity to, grab those crayons. So after dinner every night, we would draw at least probably 3 or 4 nights out of the week, my mom says. And I remember we drew all the time, my brother included, a super talented artist. He quit drawing, sadly, around middle school, but he just blew me out of the water as a kid. He was just super talented. He still paints minis. He's an incredible mini painter. I'll link some of this stuff. Yeah, it was amazing. So we would draw, and my mom kept all of our work. She would, file it away. We had a little a wall next to our refrigerator that led to the pantry that we would put our favorite stuff up growing up. So with that being said, she also had 5 brothers who were incredible artists, and they were always stopping by the house, and all of them would draw for us. We would sit and, just ask them every time they would come over to draw something, and they were super good at drawing. They never did it professionally, but were just casually amazing artists. They were drawing us tanks by memory and army men and airplanes and, anything we asked for, they could do. And yeah, so that was really the inception of me as an artist were those types of things. I don't know what really drew me as an infant to draw as much as I did. And my mom said, it was a lot more than most kids. That was a big, massive part of my life, was just art, even at a super young age. So progressing forward into elementary school and stuff, my mom would keep our projects, all of our schoolwork, and there's a lot of art projects involved. So she has that, and I'll have to get it from her. It'll be like the last piece of my, artistic archives. I'll have all of it. So from that point on, about 8 and 9 years old, I started to collect my own work. It was just my choice. I had a really good friend at the time. His name was Spencer. He collected his work. He was an incredible artist, and I would go to his house all the time, have sleepovers, watch scary movies. Even as little kids, we were, we would stay up drawing all night and on the floor. And one night I was at his house in his room, and he pulled out a bag of his drawings, and we were kids, and I was like, super taken aback. Even I remember as a little kid, I'd be like, "Oh, he's keeping all of his stuff. Wow!" And he was just showing me all this stuff, and I was like, "Wow, it's incredible." He already had a lot of pride in his work. So I went home, and I remember I did the same thing. I went home and I started to kind of store my drawings. And fast forward a little bit, but in 5th and 6th grade, I got a kind of an entertainment little console to hold my super old school giant TV that weighed 50 pounds, that if you dropped on your little 10-year-old foot, you'd just be completely maimed. It had my PlayStation 2, some Harry Potter Legos, maybe a Chibi Gundam model up there, and then down at the bottom where you're supposed to put your clothes, I would stuff all of my drawings, and it snapped the like kind of cheap particle board. There was so much stuff even at that time. Like I would just, every little scrap of paper I would shove into this drawer. And yeah, that's kind of how that started. I never stopped. I have these bags. I had these bags that I kept with me. I've moved all over the place, the West Coast, went to college, and these bags went with me all over the place. you know, it was like a font of creativity. I would like look back, even at a young age, I would look back on these things kind of for some, you know, to get my creative juices flowing, to get some inspiration. And yeah, they were, you know, treasures to me. It was funny. And I guess to also kind of explain more so the artistic journey, you know, my parents were super supportive of me at a young age drawing. I've always been very magnetically drawn to my, you know, pastimes and things that I like. If I liked something, I and still do, I really zero in, and that's all I care about. You know, see my house, Akira, just thing. I've liked these things since I was a little kid, and I'll get into that. You know, even in the end of this video, it kind of segues into that. But yeah, my parents super supportive. Funnily enough, they would get me, as I was going through my archives recently, they would get me stuff like this. I found the original pen that got me through all of elementary school, the the Pentel RSVP. I found this in one of my bags of paper, all my drawing bags. Yeah, this is the exact pen that I would use to do all my work. And yeah, I would just, you know, not many kids, 8 and 9-year-olds, were as juiced on office supplies as I was. You know, my parents would bring me home some pens, or the best stories I have are my dad. He worked, you know, an office job, and he had access to reams of paper. I didn't like sketchbooks, and my dad would bring me home reams of paper, just massive stacks. You know, they weigh whatever for a 9 or 10-year-old. Toting around reams of paper was ridiculous. And I would carry these reams to school. I wouldn't even put anything in my backpack besides reams of paper. And some teachers were cool with that, and other ones not so much. Luckily in 5th grade, I had a really nice 5th grade teacher. You know, she felt bad for my back that I was walking around with this. I had like a messenger bag, like a Hurley messenger bag, like that went across like a strap. And you would open it up and there's just stacks of paper. And she was like, Ian, you can't be doing this. So she made me a little cubby, and you know, she knew that I was going to be drawing regardless. So I tried to be respectful and ask her to go get a sheet when we had, you know, some downtime. But I was always going over there and taking my sheets out of the cubby that she designated the ream holder. So as that transitioned into middle and high school, less and less schoolwork, more and more reams of paper. In 8th grade, I mean, literally all I had was, again, reams of paper in a backpack that were just, I was a tiny dude, and the backpack probably weighed half of me. I mean, literally 20 pounds of paper in this backpack, no exaggeration. You know, some teachers would get super mad. And then by high school, finally switched over to sketchbooks, and literally didn't bring a single piece of schoolwork. I would just bring a sketchbook, and yeah, I would end up stashing my stuff in the classroom because I didn't like to carry stuff around. So I would stash my homework and whatever I needed, a book, in the back of the class, and just carry around my sketchbook. So yeah, that's just a little kind of glimpse into just how this all started, why it started. And yeah, I have, again, a ridiculous amount of artwork. I do everything, you know, I paint traditionally, all mediums, oil, watercolor, gouache, draw by hand, whatever. I have just a truly ridiculous amount of work. Can't see, but off camera, there's just a massive file right here of a lot of my college work and stuff like that. I went to Art Center, and yeah, it's just, it's ridiculous. So I thought it'd be interesting for people to see, and yeah, I'll transition into kind of part 2 of this video and explain what the next project that I'll be working on is. So thanks. All right, so this is part 2, kind of going over the project idea I have, a little bit of content that I've decided to do with some of my work that I've had. So yeah, basically, like I was saying, I just have this unlimited amount of drawings from, you know, the past 30x years that I wanted to show you guys. So, I mean, a lot of people, you know, show their work off and stuff like that. Something that I think is kind of interesting about this work is that it's, you know, not just like a little kid drawing or my own drawing, you can really kind of decipher what was going on in the world at the time if you look at this stuff and you're like, oh, how is that possible? It's just like a little kid's scribble. But in reality, if you look at a lot of these drawings, there's a lot of pop culture references. You can kind of see not only what was going on in my mind, like I just said, but in the world as a whole. It was really the rise of kind of like the massive pop culture, in the late 90s and early 2000s, the rise of, anime, the popularity of it, the rise of and just the absolute, mayhem from stuff like Pokemon and video games and N64 and Super Smash Brothers and Zelda and just everything, World of Warcraft. I mean, I have so much work. And what I think is really interesting is that they're almost like postcards or, a time machine or a time capsule. You can look at this stuff and you can really kind of decipher what was going on at the time. And it's really interesting. You can really see the rise of like anime and my style or stuff, influences like that. So yeah, basically the premise of this content will just be me going over a certain amount of drawings in any given video to kind of explain what was going on, at the time. I know a lot of people have lived through this, but it's just my perspective on things. And I always think it's interesting to see kind of like an artist's, like what made them tick, what sculpted them into the way they are. And a lot of this stuff, if you sit and watch it with me, you can kind of see how I've ended up the way I have as an artist. A lot of my stuff is very obviously influenced by all this kind of turn of the millennium, stuff that was going on. So yeah, I'll basically go over the drawing. We can laugh at it. There's a lot of horrible misspellings and hilarious proportions. And then what I want to do is redraw it. Maybe not completely the whole thing one for one, but pick a character or if there's a couple drawings, find one that's suitable to fix and kind of see how far I've come as an artist. And I remember as a kid thinking to myself vividly, someday I'll be able to draw anything I think of. And nowadays I really can do that. I can kind of like sit and really crank something out, and it took a long time, but I always think back to my younger self, like if only my younger self could see what I would be capable of. And it's been a long journey and it's been fun. So yeah, that's basically my my take on this project. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll segue into a couple of these drawings that I have stacked up. The first episode will be funny. Lastly, each one of these drawings really does have a story for the time. They're pretty funny to me. I hope they're funny to you. I'll try to act them out accordingly. So yeah, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy this stuff. Thanks. All right, so we're back with the last part of the video. So like I was saying, I kind of just wanted to talk about how, this art is kind of wrapped up in pop culture and what was going on at the time and, how it influenced me, and just, wrap it all up in a nice little bow for you guys. So basically, without any further introduction, I'm going to spruce this place up a little bit with some of my favorite things. Got the classics here. This gives you a little hint of what's coming. Boom! We have the Pokemon drawing. So, really, does it need an introduction? Pokemon, the greatest franchise of all time, at least financially, right? The greatest heavyweight IP. So yeah, I'm going to go over the drawing, kind of explain where I was at during this era. 1998, 1999, 2000. The Pokemon era, just beyond bedlam when it came out. Mayhem. Pokemon, again, needs no introduction, but I'll give it one anyway. Just absolute insanity, the show, the game, everything. Kind of like the true, would we say that Pokemon kind of really broke anime into the pop culture? I mean, we got Dragon Ball Z and other stuff, but Sailor Moon, things like that. But come on, let's be real. Pokemon was just out of this world. It was insane. So as you can see, it was a big part of my life when I was a kid. I'll go over this drawing and then kind of tell you a funny story about the drawing and why I drew it. And again, like I said, it's like a puzzle. You can look into this and you're like, it's a kid drawn, whatever. But in reality, there's a lot more to it. Some funny things, you know, stuff about me, and you know, that's still, funnily enough, is a part of my life even now, especially my artistic life. I took a lot from Pokemon, so yeah, we'll get into it. Firstly, we're coming in strong with the typos. We got Pokemo, Pokemo Catch Crusade. You know, I don't even. It was my favorite thing. I couldn't even spell it right. I definitely. I struggled a lot in elementary school with reading and writing. Wasn't the best student. Yeah. So with that being said, like I said in the earlier part of this video, use the Pentel RSVP on this this drawing for sure. If we go through here, it's some type of city scene. We got the gym up on the top of this cliff with the waterfall. Got kind of like a Tim Burton-esque hill. We have the inn over here. We have a Fearow, the Mew, Venomoth, Charizard, Beedrill. And then if you come down here though, this is where it gets kind of interesting. You got a Bayleef, Stantler, Togepi evolution. We'll get into that. You know, that's what makes this a little more interesting because I drew this when I was in 4th grade. I was 9 years old. So how does that make any sense? But before we get there, we'll read some of the the illegible writing. I used to write real tiny. It looks like it says, "All win, you all and become." Oh, all win. I think I'm trying to say I will win and become a Pokemon master. Really quick, you can also tell that anime was already influencing me. You know, before this, I looked at, or I think a lot of us, we just watched obviously Western stuff. X-Men was really big at the time. You know, there's Spider-Man and stuff. You know, Saturday morning cartoons. But I was transitioning away from that into these kind of like chibi characters, right? I have these like weird little, my, you know, little 9-year-old brain was trying to comprehend what I was seeing on, you know, whatever was on TV at the time. Big bulging eyes and little chibi bodies and proportions. This stuck with me for a long time. If you can see, try to zoom in here, they have no noses. It's just mouths. He's ripped though. He's got a 6-pack. Yeah. So I'll read you down here. We seem to have like the main kind of protagonist. He looks tough, spelled T-U-F-F. He looks tough. We can take him though. Keeping with the Pokemon theme there, take him spelled 'E-M. Take him though. And then, you know, he's got his buddy down here. Yeah, probably. You know, that's the type of homie, that's the type of friend that you want. Yeah, probably. He's got his Ivysaur. We got a sad Hitmonchan. Don't even know what that says. Your blank Hitmonchan. And then over here in the Pokemon Center, welcomes all. Welcome, we will heal and tend to your Pokemon for free. Boom. All right, so there we go. There's the generalized kind of drawing, and then I was going to get into how I came about drawing these characters. So when I was, like I said, in 4th grade, the Pokemon kind of, you know, the madness was starting to subside. Not to say that it ever truly subsided, but at the time, without social media, when this stuff kind of started to die down, a lot of times you really felt kind of like you're the only person who liked this. None of my friends like Pokemon anymore, but again, I never, obviously, as you can see, never stopped loving Pokemon. So what I was going to say is a funny story. Like I was talking about earlier, each one of these has some type of story connected to them. I was running errands with my mom. I would always run errands with my mom. You're a little kid, can't be left at home. So there was a post office and the grocery store up at a strip mall by our house, and I would go with my mom. And next to those, the post office and the grocery store was a mom and pop video game store, and she would let me hang out in there while she, you know, ran her errands and went to the post office, got her groceries, whatever. So yeah, one time she let me go in there. It was just next door. I walked in, you know, and as I walked in, it was like the heavens parted, and behind the counter in a big plastic case, there was one Game Boy game. And Boom. My favorite Pokemon of all time. It was behind the counter. It was a Japanese gold version. And, I literally lost my mind. It was insane. I've explained this before, and, I've talked to some other people about this. Pokemon was, it had a tendency to have a lot of urban legends at the time. Everything did. In the late 90s, early 2000s, internet was in its infancy. We have it now, but even more so, urban legends spread like wildfire, especially about Pokemon. You had Pika Blue and all this stuff, and there was you didn't even want to believe, or you couldn't believe that there was anything beyond Gen 1, right? So I'll put a meme up. When Donphan came out, during the Pokemon movie, the first movie, kids were like losing it. Everyone was talking about it at recess. So you got to understand, when I saw this as like a 9-year-old, I thought it was almost fake, or it was like I don't know. I couldn't believe it that this box was even there. So there was an older kid, a teenager, talking to the guy behind the counter about buying it. And I was like, oh, I remember I was like upset. I'm like, please, no, I need this. And I remember hearing it was like, the guy was like, it was like $120 or something, like $120 to a 9-year-old. I mean, it might as well be $1 million. So I was like heartbroken. Oh, I'll never get this. So I'm standing there staring at it the whole time my mom's, at the grocery store. And I'm like waiting, trying to figure out a way that I can convince her to get this for me. So she ends up coming in the store. The kid obviously is not going to buy it either. It's $120, whatever. Freshly imported. We're talking, this is a couple months after the Japanese release. I did the math on it. I'm pretty sure I got it like 3 or 4 months after the Japanese release. So my mom comes in. I instantly am groveling, trying to explain how would a 9-year-old explain this holy grail of video games to his nice conservative mom who's never even played a video game. Shout out to my mom. She always did her best with her boys to try to understand our pastimes and what we like. So somehow my mom, knowing that I was always so I loved what I loved, right? So she knew if this meant this much to me, that it had to be something important. As you can see, I've always liked the same things. When I like something, I gravitate towards it. I'm obsessed with it. It's all I like. I've liked the same things, my whole life. I've liked it since I was a kid. And so my mom knew I was serious about it. So she let me get it, and it was insane. In the car home, was just glued to the box. I got it back, opened it up, stuck it in my Game Boy Pocket that was blue, didn't even have a Game Boy Color, and proceeded to just go absolutely, bonkers. Went insane. My brother was there, probably building Magic Deck or writing a Warhammer list, and I was like grabbing him, like, look at this, insanity, crazy, oh my god. It was all in kanji. Had no idea what was going on. They had all the new implemented systems. You got the berries. You got all this stuff. I had no clue what was going on. I just tried to power my way through it. I ended up picking Chikorita, which was definitely, nowadays, not my first choice. But I was really into kawaii things back in the day. Tiny, weird little, creatures and stuff. So Chikorita was appealing to me as a little boy. And the story doesn't end there. I kept playing it, the week went on. Somehow I end up at the mall with my mom a week or two later, and I'm in a Borders bookstore, RIP. And I'm in the Borders. I get back to the fledgling, again, gaming section. There's a tiny little section full of gaming manuals, and I'm just thumbing through them as a little kid. Pull out one, lo and behold, I'll put it on the screen. I find the Japanese translation guide to Pokemon Gold. Run to my mom, like, Mom, look! Pull out the translation guide. I'm like, Mom, check it out. They have the guide. She saw me struggling, trying to decipher kanji while I'm playing this game. So of course she gets it for me. It's cheap. It's like $10. And to add to the whole mystery and the urban legend thing, I'll try to find it, but in the book, if you open it, there was like, the drawings are great. Even the cover, it looked believable, but it was totally like, you know, fan made and unofficial. But there was like Charizard, some weird like amalgamation of like Charizard, some weird whatever, some fan fiction. And that's the type of stuff I was talking about, like those weird little things. Those, you know, people would make like fake. Now they call them, you know, Fakeamon, whatever. They'd make like pixels, like little like sprites of fake Pokemon and stuff. You know, it was crazy. Anyways, so I ended up getting it, and at the back of that book, there was perforated like study cards for kanji with the English on one side and kanji on the other, so you could practice kind of like the more prevalent terms like, you know, Super Ball or Pokeball or heal or attack, so you could work on your, you know, your Japanese. So ended up using that, beat the whole game. You know, a proud achievement for me as a 9-year-old to beat a Japanese game. And again, this was almost a year before it came out in the United States. And I probably led a lot of rumors around school because I had this gold version. And it was like one of those things. Millennials are going to know, people are going to know. You always had a kid at school telling you about some wild, like, complete nonsense that never happened, like, you know, in a video game or in real life. Just stupid, right? So I would say that was one of the funniest, you know, things, being able to like bring the cart to school too and be like, yeah, well, see, I do have it. And kids would be like, oh my God, oh, he has it. And like people would see like whatever. And it was probably like a game of telephone. They probably went home, told their friends, siblings about Pokemon that they saw in this thing that, you know, who knows what they were trying to explain, any of the newer, you know, Gen 2 stuff. So, and then I'll close with kind of funny last story. I remember walking around it was an outdoor swap meet with my mom, and basically the swap meet was scorching hot outside, and my aunt was there, and I had my Game Boy. I could hardly see it on that screen, you know, no backlight, and I was on the Togepi quest where you had to walk to hatch the egg. Yeah, so I'm walking, and I'm waiting for my Togepi to hatch, and I remember as I'm walking in real life, my Togepi hatches as my character's walking, and I remember I was like thinking that was weird, and like ran to show my mom like, oh, my Togepi hatched. So yeah, with that being said, kind of that's my little story about this drawing, and I'll show you a couple more little Pokemon drawings I have from when I was a kid. Got a couple here, so yeah, like I said, try to redraw some of these, you know, some of the characters and stuff. Maybe draw Pokemon here and there. So yeah, we'll start with, we have this Zapdos Rider. So basically, it's some type of themed Zapdos, like super fan, right? Yeah, so this was in 8th grade. I could tell by little eyes. I put like weird little band-aids on everybody. That was like a big theme in a lot of animes. A lot of characters had the band-aid, you know. I believe this is put it up from Rival Schools, the Capcom fighting game. One of the characters rocked the band-aid that I liked a lot. So continuing on with the legendary bird theme, you know, we got Articuno, you know, Zapdos, whatever. I did, I believe, a couple versions of this where I drew like the prior one, like themed riders. So again, I think I was 13, 14 when I drew this stuff. Obviously still into Pokemon years later. We have me, this will be an ongoing theme. I always drew myself like this. I don't know why I gave myself orange skin. Yeah, I guess I'm real themed up with the Charizard. I have no knees, so I'm walking around like a pirate with 2 peg legs. This Charizard's legs coming out of the middle, his midsection. We have the Fun in the Sun. I was trying to learn to use Prismacolors. My face two-toned. Uh-oh, something's going on with me. I'm very flushed. Yeah, we got the Sleeping Mudkip. And then here's another one. These are all from 8th grade. I have a lot of, obviously, Pokemon. I would just have to dig them out. This is Ruby, obviously. The funny thing about this was I didn't have a Game Boy Advance. And I had the little pocket guide to Pokemon Ruby, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. They made these tiny pocket guides that were like this big, and print was I loved everything super tiny when I was little. and I still do. I like real small things, and it was just this tiny little Ruby Pokemon guide, just how to beat the game or whatever. And yeah, I would carry it around. Love the art. And then I ended up obviously getting Game Boy SP in 9th grade, and yeah, beat it, and super cool. So lastly, I'm gonna move my little friends out of the way because these last ones are a little bigger. Lastly, I just wanted to kind of show where I'm at now. So basically, I recently was commissioned to do some Pokemon work. So yeah, I was going to show off some stuff that I had done, just kind of to again show where I'm at, as an artist, and yeah, just kind of talk about the journey nowadays. So again, like I said, Pokemon was super inspiring to me. I actually have a game I'm working on that's based around Pokemon monsters and stuff like that. But yeah, I was just gonna kind of explain. I talked about earlier that I wish my younger self could see, where I'd end up, as an artist and as an adult. Not that I wasn't inspired as a kid to work and push myself, but I think like a lot of people, art gets hard. Anything is hard. A lot of creative stuff is really hard. There's no one to blame really but yourself. It's just you versus yourself, right? And that's where things can get frustrating, and you have good days, bad days. I'm gonna be 35, and I look at a lot of this stuff, and I'm like, man, I could do this. I can be better. I can always work more. Blah blah blah. And I think a big thing for everybody is just to kind of take a step back and enjoy your work, right? Enjoy the process of becoming an artist, and I look at it as I have my whole life to work on this stuff, and when I have kind of like a bad day, I try to stay PMA about art, right? And looking at stuff like this, especially like stuff from when I was a kid, sometimes it's easy to forget how far you've come as as an artist and as a person. It's funny, and as I kind of retell these stories, it makes me realize how far I've come in life, and just how pivotal certain things are. I'll show another one of these. Moon got the Venusaur. But yeah, I just kind of want to impart some of my own wisdom as an artist and someone who's been doing this for so long. That yeah, just keep at it. And the other thing is, you never know. It's funny. You never know how important something like a game or whatever could mean to someone. Like my mom, she's the best. She always supported me, and maybe at the time she didn't know buying me that game how important it is to me, but now I'm sharing it with you guys, and how that was a huge part of my life. I remember it till this day. It greatly influenced my art, and you never know, I guess, what could really influence a person, or help them kind of define who they are. Not to say Pokemon made me like whatever, but it did. It is important, and I think that's a cool part of the story, a cool part of the process, a cool part of my journey. And again, for anyone pushing in the art world, I know AI and everything can kind of be flustering, and but art should always firstly be just out of enjoyment, fun. You should be using it. It's cathartic. It's just a way to express yourself, and I think that yeah, that's the most important part. And I hope that you guys can enjoy some of this stuff, enjoy the stories, enjoy the process. And yeah, it's just a labor of love. I have so much of this stuff and so many funny stories, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. So I hope you appreciated it. I really appreciate you guys listening, and if you stayed here and listened to the whole story, and shout out to all the Pokemon fans. Let me know your favorites. It's been a little rough lately. Hopefully the new one's pretty decent, but again, thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a good one, and take it easy. So in the next episode of this, I'll add a speed paint in this section where we go over the old drawing, retool it, rework it, and I show you my new artistic process. But since I just did those Pokemon commissions within the last few months, I think they kind of show where I'm at with my art in a Pokemon sense. So yeah, if I were to redraw that and add a speed paint in this section, the video would be pushing 45 minutes to an hour. And for one of my first videos, it's kind of long. But yeah, again, appreciate it. Next time we'll get going on that. So again, thank you for listening. Appreciate it, guys. Take it easy.